What is up, everybody? Pallazzo Podcast, two L's, two Z's. Your boy Mike Virginia coming at you live with my co-host, the GOAT himself, Britton Allen. Britton, how we doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great, Mike V. It's good to see you. I hope all is going well. It's a beautiful day. I love this time of year. We're well into May. Baseball's in full swing. I've been watching a game today. My boy Jordan Beck had 3 hits. Looks like
Let's
he's coming
go.
around. Go Vols. So yeah, man, how are you doing?
Good, man. It's been a crazy month with work and kids being sick and me being sick and life, man. It's one of those things too where you have to make time for certain things, and sometimes things fall off your priority list, and that's just how it goes. So
Man, it's that time of year. Everybody's allergies are kicking up. And if you open my back door, it backs up to some woods.
mhm.
The sound of the cicadas is literally deafening. Like it has the decibel level of like a jet engine taking off next to you. It's crazy.
There you go, man. Yeah. It is in full swing summertime here in good old Virginia. So for those of you guys who are joining us, this is the Q&A, if you will. I do a lot of these on Twitter/X. So if you guys aren't already doing so, make sure you follow myself @_ Mike Virginia, this little white bubble here, @Britton Allen, 2 T's, 2 L's. If you guys have questions, drop them in the live chat. We are here to help. That's the point of today's show. We don't have a show sheet. We don't have anything planned. We are just talking baseball with you guys today, man. So if you guys have questions, drop them in the live chat. Britton and I want to help. It is in the middle of the week. We want to know how you guys are doing. We want to help you guys out. So Chad says, I'm going to get going right off the bat with some O's talk. Cedric Mullins, can we justify the drop? Britton, we'll start with you. Are you holding or folding Mr. Cedric Mullins of my beloved Baltimore Orioles?
I'm folding. I'm done, Cedric Mullins. You had a great 30-30, completely out of nowhere season. Congratulations. It's been downhill ever since. You can't live off that one season your whole life. Actually, yes, you can. And you will. And you will. And that's great. But the team context is win now. Kyle Stowers got called up.
Yes, he did.
Uh, they got Mayo, who I got to see in person, and Connor Norby. Norby looks like he's going to be a legit stud. It's going to be ironic when you've got Jackson Holiday, Mayo, and Norby, and Norby may be the best, and he's probably the cheapest. If you could go trade for Connor Norby, I would definitely do that. But Mike V, did you see Adley Rutschman hit a walk-off home run today?
Yes, I did, and it is coming up. I am going against him in my home league. I had Jordan Romano. He had Adley Rutschman, so it was kind of a double banger against your boy here. But anytime the O's win, I will take that, man, over my fantasy teams winning. So, yes, I did see that. And I'm so glad you brought up Connor Norby, too, because I have been on the Connor Norby train since we drafted him out of East Carolina University.
Go Pirates.
Yeah, and everyone was calling for him to be traded over Joey Ortiz, over Kobe Mayo. Like, get this guy out of here. Connor Norby is legit, folks. This guy can hit. He just needs to improve the glove somewhere. And I get the argument. There's not a place to play for him, not a place for him in the infield, but he is learning the outfield, Mr. Britton Allen. He can play some left field. So, I don't know if his call up is immediate. It would have to take an injury, and there's a log jam in the outfield as well. But Connor Norby, if he continues to hit, is going to force the Orioles' hand here. Maybe not this year, maybe in September, but definitely next year. I could see him playing with us. So if you don't own any shares of Connor Norby, now is the time to buy.
Yeah, obviously in keeper leagues, like I've got in our auto new league, Mike V, I've got Wyatt Langford, Jackson Holiday, Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens, Junior Caminero. Junior Caminero is he would be my number one prospect priority ad. That's not news. You can listen to any podcast; they'll all tell you that it's the same thing. But Connor Norby may be this is going to be hard for me to sell, but I believe Connor Norby may be the best Baltimore prospect. Heston, and that's Heston Kjerstad, like all these studs. I don't know. I just watched him play, and I was just like, sometimes you just watch somebody and you're like, it just pops, and
Mhm.
that's the guy, and that's how I felt they had Holiday hitting off, Mayo and Norby, and I looked at I watched, and I was like, Norby's kind of the kind of the S. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to gobble him up everywhere I can in all my auto new and keeper leagues.
I am hoping to God that we do not trade him come the deadline for a pitcher or anything.
Mason Miller. What
Oh,
about that? What about that?
no, no.
You're Mason Miller boy. I don't
My,
know
my
what would
love,
you do?
my love for Mason Miller stops there, Britton. Okay, I love Mason Miller so much.
Boundaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's boundaries exactly. I'm not trading the farm to get him, and I'm so glad you brought this up too because I do think Mason Miller will be traded. Well, it's kind of 50-50 because they're going to want a king's ransom. And I don't know if any team's going to be willing to pay for that for a guy who had a UCL sprain. Last year, Tommy John is going to be in his future, I feel. The only way this makes sense if the O's get a Mason Miller is I do think if we were to acquire him, he would be the closer in place of Craig Kimbrell. And Felix Bautista would come back next year. And the only way for this to work is Mason Miller would need to be a starter. If we're going to trade that amount of prospects to get him and what the A's are asking for, it's going to take a Heston Kjerstad, a Connor Norby. It may even take Kobe Mayo to get him. Not all three of those guys, but any combination of those guys to get him. And maybe even some of our prospects, with pitching prospects with McDermott or Povich. So I'm not willing to pay that price tag for him. I'll be happy if somebody else does, but we probably we're one of the few teams that could probably pay that price that's going to take to get Mason Miller on your team.
If any team can, it's the Baltimore Orioles with their high end prospects. Like they can live without one of those guys. Now I wouldn't give up two Mayo, Norby, Stowers, but yeah, I would. The O's are going to win World Series, and if you have to give up,
Please,
Connor Norby, which I wouldn't do. I'd give up Mayo, but if you have to give up Mayo to get Mason Miller, Mike V, I think you have to do it. He looks so good. You put him as your closer now, and then stretch him out next offseason or something. But win now is the name of the game with the Orioles.
I'm with you, man. It's kind of a fine line because a lot of people, we'll get to all your questions here in a minute, I promise, and we'll shut up about the Orioles. It's a fine line of winning now, but then also not paying too much to get these guys. In my opinion, here are the guys that I'm not, the untouchables that aren't in the majors right now. I'm not trading Jackson Holiday. I'm not trading Kobe Mayo, and I'm not trading Samuel Vassallo of who's the 19/20-year-old. I think he just turned 20, the catching prospect for the O's. Everybody else is off the table for me. I would be bummed if we lost Connor Norby, but if it meant getting Mason Miller and him turning out to be the starter / closer / starter in the upcoming years, I'm all for it. So, to answer your question in short, Chad, yeah, we're dropping Cedric Mullins. I don't think that's I think that's the case here. Edward Kelly, what's up, man? He wants to know, do we know if the Super 2 date is different for each minor leaguer or is it the same for all of them? I have players like Caminero, Mayo, or Elvis Martinez, and would help if I knew. Yeah, to be 100% honest, I actually don't know. I think it's the latter of your question there. I think it's or the first of your part of your question. I think it's different for each minor leaguer. Britton, do you have any info on this, or Chad? Probably
it has to do with playing time, and not just playing time like this year, but like last year. And so there's a formula, and I mean, I would just Google Super 2, but
yeah,
but it is different. But no matter, it's different from year to year, but it's still within like a week or two of where it was the year before, if that makes sense. Like it's not a huge variation. So once you get into the halfway, once you get into like All-Star break, Super 2 is passed. So. Yep. But a lot of the teams don't really care about Super 2 all that much anymore. But I love out of that list of players, I absolutely love every single one of those players. Orlevis Martinez is a huge power bat. He's doing great in the minors. Obviously, we love Mayo, and then Junior Caminero is the next one. And people, and I feel like this too, Mike V. Let me know how you feel. Like people are kind of, I feel like they're not going after Junior Caminero all that much because they're like Jackson Holiday, Wyatt Langford, Heston Kjerstad. We've like been there, done that, and it's not worked out yet.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that it's kind of worked out for is, I would say, Jackson Churio is doing doing as good as a rookie can do. I mean, he's got like 6 stolen bases, 5 home runs. I mean, his
Jackson
average.
Merrill is
Yeah,
probably in there
Merrill,
too.
but he, he kind of plays off the bench these days. But
Yeah.
Junior Caminero really is an impact bat, and I know it's the Tampa Bay Rays. But if you got a bench spot and you're in a 10 or 12 team, go ahead and grab him. He's going to be up first between all those guys
Yeah.
that listener mentioned.
Agreed. And I actually wrote about him pre-draft season. I said this in my article that I wrote for the Patreon, which starts at $3. If you guys don't already subscribe to that, make sure you guys get on there. Link will be in the description here. It's $3. I wrote an article pre-draft season that Junior Caminero was the guy to go after over Jackson Holiday, over White Langford. He was the number one bat to go get. Now, jury's still out. He may come up and flame out, but Britton Allen, did you know that he started yesterday at second base? Brandon Lowe had a setback in his side, I believe, so he's getting a second opinion. It's clear they want his. So for me, what that says is, hey, we don't have a spot for you currently right now. Aranda got
Aronda's
activated
back.
the other day. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he'll probably play third. So if Junior Caminero can gain second base eligibility and be their second baseman, they want him up. I think it's just not a spot for him right now. I think they want him up. I think he's going to have probably 5 or 6 more games starting at second base. We could be looking at Junior Caminero up at the end of the month or early June. So I 100% agree with you. If you have a bench spot, he needs to be rostered now and beat the rush. Get him on your teams. He should probably already be owned at this point. But he is that big. Yeah, he's that big of an impact of a bat. So here's a good comp. He is not Ellie De La Cruz, but the hype train, the helium that we got with Ellie coming up last year, that's Junior Caminero this year. So make sure you guys go get him.
Man, Ellie De La Cruz, he's got like 25. I mean, do you know how many stolen bases he has this year? It's like
it's crazy.
20. Yeah, it's nuts. It's wild, but he's really cooled off in May, but that has to happen. I mean, it's like a mathematical certainty. Like you can't, you can't do what he did in April all year long. That's just not how life works or baseball.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, he's got that upside. Junior Caminero for the Rays got that Ellie De La Cruz sizzle, like that bacon, Mike V. Like you go into the diner and you're all hung over, and it's Sunday morning, and you smell that sizzle of the bacon, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get a Western omelet and 25 pieces of bacon and 5 cups of coffee. That's Junior Caminero. That's called the Junior Caminero special. That's how good it is. That's how big. That's how big time his bat is. So
next time I go to the diner, I'm ordering that.
The Junior.
The Junior Caminero special there. Edward Kelly would love to see them put Jackson Holiday in center field. I don't think that's happening, man. I think he's going to be their second baseman of the future. Where would they play Norby? We talked about it, probably in the outfield, or maybe they trade away some of these guys. Who knows? The O's have too many hitting prospects. It'd be nice to see them acquire a young stud pitcher. They do, but I'm so glad you brought this up, Edward, really quickly.
I agree with that. You can't play them all, Mike. You can't. No, you just can't. You got to go get somebody.
Here's the thing. It's like in fantasy baseball too. This is a good problem to have. I would love to get a long, extended look about all of these guys. And guess what? I own the money. I have the cards here, baby. I don't have to trade anybody. I'm going to take the extended long look and get everybody up here and say, hey, who sticks and who doesn't? And then I can trade some of these guys. I'm certainly not looking just to trade. It needs to make sense on a multitude of different levels. He also brings up O's Marlins trade for Luzardo. I don't want Jesus Luzardo, baby. I don't want him.
I don't either. Yeah. He's just too injury prone, and but he could be great, but he scares me. He really does. But hey, the O's got Kyle Bradish back. He looks good. So it's not like a DEFCON 5 situation for the O's just yet.
Exactly right. Thank you for saying that. I agree. Chad says, I'm not sure they might just ride the wave and push for the postseason and the draft bonus for Mason Miller awards and then visit trading in the offseason. I agree with Chad. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. Elias has not pushed his chips in on any case, especially last year. I don't see him doing it this year. The O's are already one of the best teams in baseball as is. I think they're the second best team in baseball, only behind the Phillies. So definitely the best team in the AL currently record-wise. Jeff wants to know, Westbrook long-term outlook fantasy all-star or just good? I'm not really sure who we're talking about here. Westberg. Gotcha. Okay. That's who he's referencing, Jordan Westberg. Long-term fantasy outlook. I'll let you start here, Britton, because I've
I
talked
think
enough
he's
about my O's.
I think he's an all-star. Yeah, so, with all these great O's prospects, we could rename this the Baltimore Orioles show, but
We could.
they just have a bunch of exciting players. Can't help it.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone want to hear us talk about the Angels? Like,
Hell
nah,
no.
I don't even know who's Brandon Drury. I don't know. I think he's injured. Anyway, but Jordan Westburg, he was a first round pick. Like, he's not, some dude just out of nowhere. Yeah, Jordan Westburg is a quality. I think he's going to be one of their top players. I think Rutschman and Jordan Westburg are going to be like their two captains for a while.
Don't leave out my boy Gunnar Henderson, Britton.
Oh, of course not. No, Gunner is obviously a superstar too. Jeez, Mike, this is an embarrassment of riches.
That's right.
Gunner, Westberg, and then you got like Jorge Mateo and Cedric Mullins. Like, no offense, I mean these are talented players. Mateo was a big time prospect for the A's back in the day, but
That's right.
man, I was like, it's a long season, but sometimes they need to make some changes. Let the young bucks eat. That's
They
that's
will.
not a thing. That's not what
Yeah.
young bucks don't eat. They do. I'm not sure what they do, but you know what I mean.
They eat. They eat.
Okay. You're right.
To answer your question there, Jeff, yes, I do think he's arguably been our best player to date. I mean, you can make a case for that outside of Gunnar Henderson. He's been everything as advertised, and people forget too, he was one of our top prospects before he came up. So I'm glad to see him doing well. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, maybe not now or this season, that we package him in a deal for somebody. So just because, again, there's not a spot for him. I definitely think if I had to guess, Britton, and this is the last thing I'll say about the O's, Jackson Holiday is going to play second, and I think Kobe Mayo is going to play third, which probably leaves Westberg out of the equation here. But he's going to need to continue to hit and play well. Otherwise, I think he might be on the chopping block here for a trade. So
they can't let they can't let Ryan O'Hearn go. So
here we go.
I like Ryan O'Hearn. So I'm just teasing.
Yeah. Edward Kelly, Mason Miller's arm will blow up next year or next. No thanks. Yeah. Tommy John is in his future if he's going to be a starter. I can guarantee you that. I already had a slight UCL. People forget sprain means tear. So he's already had a slight tear in his UCL. So it's just a matter of time for a guy who goes 100. We just have too many data points that point to that. So Andrew says, Will Benson, 3 hits in the last 2 games with a homer last night. Let's hope he gets hot. You have any Will Benson shares there, Britton? And are you?
I don't. I missed the boat on Will Benson. Plus, I get him confused with Will Brennan.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Guardians?
Does anybody else do that? Like, there's a Guardian. I think there are 2 guys named Will Benson in Major League Baseball. One plays for the Reds, one plays for the Guardians. I can't figure out who's who, but I know if you look at the Guardians, I'm pretty sure Will Benson is leading off. I'm just kidding. His name's Will Brennan, but I get them confused. So.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in him right now. I think he's going to sit against some lefties there, Andrew. In deeper formats, it might make some sense because he does have a good power speed combo.
Do you have to remember
that ballpark?
TJ Friedel went back on the IL. That poor bastard worked his way back and then got hit on the hand, fractured one of his fingers or something. So now, will the real Will Benson please stand up? Slim Shady shout out. So this may be his time to shine. Yeah, let's all thank you for bringing that up. Let whoever wrote that in there. Let's take a look at Will Benson, not to be confused with Will Brennan.
Yeah, yeah. I think he'll definitely get some playing time. I definitely think he's going to sit still against some lefties there, and especially the tougher lefty matchups. But EA all day said, I've accumulated a wealth of starting pitching. He's got Reagan, Sale, Webb, Barrios, Bybee, Christian Scott, Olson, Pivetta, Bueller. And I have Grayson Rodriguez, Snell, Musgrove coming off the IL soon. Can't work a trade for a bat. Help. Yeah, man, this is the thing too, is I think a lot of people have kind of caught on to this is people prefer the bats over the arms, just as basically just of all the injuries that we've seen thus far. I definitely think though, that you could probably find somebody in your league EA all day that that you could package maybe one or two of these guys for a bat. I don't know if you're going to get a 1-for-1 deal. You may have to package one or two of these guys, maybe even three of the lesser guys to get a top bat here. I think three of any of these guys is too much, but definitely one or two would probably get the deal done. But it really depends on who you're targeting in terms of your bats. Like, send us a couple of your trade offers that you've sent out. Maybe we can help you out there.
I'll tell
But
you what, though, I don't think you trade Chris Sale unless you're talking like Francisco Lindor or something. But he
mhm.
he is he is literally like he has turned his career back into ace, especially with the Braves. But other than that, I could trade any of those guys. What do you think? I mean, they're
What
good, but it's they're
100%.
they're not but they're not like
Well,
can't trade.
no, yeah, and it also depends if this is redraft or dynasty here too, EA all day. Because if it's redraft, nobody's paying up for an injured Grayson Rodriguez, Blake Snell, or Joe Musgrove. So that's just how it is. Unfortunately, of these, in terms of who you can trade, like same thing. Christian Scott's unproven. Olsen plays for the Tigers. I mean, I know he just had a great start, but nobody's paying for paying for that with a premium bat. So I think in order to get a premium bat, like if you're looking for a top 30 hitter, it would probably have to take trading a guy like Cole Reagans or Webb. Same thing. Pavetta just came off the IL. Bueller just came off the IL. So if you're looking to trade one of your top pitchers for a top bat, you're going to have to trade one of your top three, which seems like Reagan, Sailor, Webb. So
Let's do a redraft thing here real quick. Let's say this is a
yep.
redraft league. Would you trade Jose Barrios for O'Neal Cruz? And
Are
the
we just
reason why I bring that up is O'Neal
yeah.
Cruz has turned it on within the past couple of weeks. Like he had a slow start. Power and speed.
Is this based off of the starting pitching in here? Is that what we're talking about? Like if somebody
Yeah,
offered
like
me that, yeah, I would make
yeah,
that.
if I had Jose Barrios and all these pitchers, I would go to the O'Neal Cruz owner and say, okay, I'll trade you. You need pitching, I need hitting. I'll trade you straight up O'Neal Cruz for Jose Barrios.
Yeah, I would make that move in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would too.
Yep.
Christian
Um,
Scott, he's a rookie.
mhm.
Yeah. The only people I wouldn't trade or sell in Reagans.
Yeah. 12 team head to head cats just shows me how deep starting pitching is right now. I feel like I should spend even less on arms next year. I don't know if it's deep right now. I mean, starting pitching, obviously, there's tons of starting pitchers there, EA all day, but having one of the premium guys like, we've already seen Spencer Strider and Garrett Cole go down, but like a Corbin Burns, like those are your premium arms, but you can find value later in drafts. We've talked about it enough on this show in terms of, and I think Britton's on the same boat as me. In terms of targeting your guys like your Brady Singers and your Barrios and those kind of guys, and going with the premium bats to start off your drafts next year. Britton, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I definitely think you're right. But in a head-to-head categories league, I mean, you want to load up on those pitchers, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
your bench doesn't have hitters. Like that's
Yep.
a waste of a bench spot. It's got
Yep.
to be all those pitchers, and then when they start during the week, you swap them in and out. So
Right.
yeah, head-to-head cats, I would actually lean towards keeping all those people, all
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
starting pitchers.
Michael Govier is in our live chat right now. He wants to let everybody know that he is buying Will Benson of the Cincinnati Reds. So, especially with the Friedel injury, that may be something that you could probably he's probably floating around in your waiver wire. In deeper formats, might be worth a shot. But again, he's not going to see full playing time. I don't care how many injuries there are. He doesn't hit lefties well, and he's going to sit sometimes. So it's just how it is. Cincinnati's got Stuart Fairchild, for God's sakes, Britton. Why would you not want his bat in the lineup?
Stuart Fairchild. It sounds like a 1980s sitcom actor,
Right.
or like One Life to Live, starring Stuart Fairchild, of course.
God, that was good.
Yeah.
Starring Stuart Fairchild. Jamie, what's up, man? He says, hey, fellas, what's going on this evening? We're just doing a Q&A here, Jamie. If you got fantasy baseball questions, man, drop them in the live chat. Bizza Rizza Jizza says, when's your best guess for when James Wood gets the call? I've got tickets to see him this Sunday. Hopefully he's still there. Here's my take on it, Bizza. You're going to see him this weekend. I promise you that. He's
what?
not. He's in the minors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. He's not coming up this weekend. Same thing. Lane Thomas is working his way back. It sounds like he ran the bases yesterday or today. I can't remember what it was. So I don't know if there's a spot for him right now. Jacob Young's playing well. They got Victor Robles, who seems just like a defensive speeder. Um, and I would love for him to come up, but I think the Nats are going to be careful with him. I could see him up sometime maybe in mid to late June, maybe July. Britton, do you have any thoughts on James Wood?
If somebody came up to me, have you seen a movie called The Box, where the guy takes a box and says, okay, if you press this button, blah, something happens. Well,
Yeah,
if someone gave me that option, I would say James Wood after All-Star break, maybe cup of coffee. I don't think he's going to be brought up anytime before the All-Star break, just
agreed.
based on team context, Super 2 that we talked about. Like they're just it's too late for him to come up and then get Rookie of the Year or come in second, or and try to get that extra. Like they've already made a decision, the front office. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
We'll call him up if there's an injury replacement, or when rosters expand in the fall. I love James Wood. I get it, but
mhm.
but they've already made their bed. Like the management has already made this decision, and I don't think they're going to now, unless the Washington Nationals go 18-0 in their next 18 games.
That didn't happen.
But
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to start his clock anytime soon.
the future is bright. I'm so glad we're talking about him too, because when they made this deal, if you guys who don't know, James Wood came over in the Juan Soto deal when they traded him from Washington to San Diego, and this is before they drafted Dylan Cruz, but it was the consensus that he would go number 2 behind Paul Skeens. I said they're going to have a plethora of riches in the outfield between James Wood.
CJ Abrams came in that trade.
Yep, exactly. They're going to have a plethora of riches between James Wood, Dylan Cruz, Elijah Green, who hasn't been great yet, but he's one of their top draft picks that they had a couple of years ago as well. And people were blasting me all over for it. And James Wood is kind of starting to come around now. So definitely, he's got a weird swing. I don't know how to describe. It looks like a men's softball swing. I don't know how to describe it. He looks unathletic. The pants are baggy, like it doesn't come all the way down to his cleats. He just looks like a male men's softball, like a bunch of 40, 50-year-old guys out there playing baseball, like a Ponce League or something like that. But James Wood can hit the shit out of the baseball. So I agree with you, Britton. I don't know if he's going to be up anytime soon, simply because of the fact of what you just said. The Nats aren't making the playoffs. There's really no incentive to bring him up right now. And I think they'll be patient with him.
Yeah, they're in no man's land right now. Like
Yeah.
they can't bring him up. They either needed to bring him up a month ago or wait till All-Star break.
Yeah, exactly. EAL Day, man. He's getting a personal consultation from you and I on his fantasy baseball team. Thanks for the answers, guys. Which position in a head-to-head Cats league would you look to improve with a trade? He said OBP. I should clarify. So it looks like it's an OBP league. He's got Yanier Diaz at catcher. He's got Glaber at second. Vinny P at first. Infield is Andres Jimenez. Fourth outfielder is Cowser. Utility is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. So, Britton, which one of these spots are you looking to bolster here?
I don't know, man. Glaber has had a really tough start to the year. Yep. I love Yanier Diaz. Vinny P is going to be good. Andre Jimenez, I like. Cowser has been slumping, but that's going to turn around. So yeah, Glaber, man. Glaber Torres for the Yankees. Okay, so he is, as you well know, Mike V. He's a Baltimore Orioles killer. Like literally, the Baltimore Orioles, have how the FBI has like top 10.
Yep,
Like
most wanted.
If the Baltimore Orioles have a top 10 most wanted, like Glaber Torres would be number 1 with how he hits their pitching for whatever reason. But other than that, he's not that good for some reason. But I don't know. Go ahead.
I will note that he crushed us when we had the short porch in left field. He hasn't done shit since then. So back when we had like the 300 foot fences in left field, yeah, he matched us. Everybody did.
He hit like 4 home runs one day. It was just crazy. And then it's kind of been downhill ever since. But man, he looks like a big strong dude, but it's just not working. So I don't know. But then you have the other side of the argument, which is he's going to turn it around. But if you look at his underlying metrics, I don't know. I don't think so. I hate to not hate to say it, but one of like Mike Govier's favorite players, old Davis Schneider,
Schneider.
is killing it. He's batting leadoff for the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, on a head-to-head Cats league, 10, 12 team, I may see you never, Glaber Torres. Like, good, maybe I'll look at you again in a month if you've turned it around. But I need to win now. I need to win categories right now. So
Yeah, it's
that's
worth
what.
it. It's worth noting that George Springer came back today, so he's going to reclaim that leadoff spot. But Davis Schneider batted sixth today, and he was replaced by Connor Falefa for a defensive replacement, it looks like. But Davis Schneider is going to be their second baseman, but he's going to continue to hit too because Mr. Orelvis Martinez is knocking on the door, and he can play some second too. Davis Schneider for me is a good call there, Britton. A guy that I like to make a trade for one of your pitchers, EA all day, Ketel Marte. I think you can trade one of those guys, and he's not going to be super, super expensive, although he is having a phenomenal season. But I think he's somebody that you can target for second baseman. I would actually even package Glaber with one of your pitchers and saying, hey, not only do you get a starting pitcher, you get your Ketel Marte replacement. And see if he'll take that trade. I like that as a target for you to improve on your second base spot.
That's what we call in the gambling world a scarecrow. A no-brainer.
Oh, there we go. So make that trade, man.
Wizard of Oz reference.
That's right. I like
you
that.
can't just get that anywhere. You got to come to the Pallazzo podcast for that kind of nonsense.
Damn right, baby. Damn right. Damn right. We talk about movies in here, guys. Chad says, how are we going to evaluate Jung-Hoo Lee's 2025 draft stock now that his season is over? Oh, that's a good question. He just seems like a boring player to me, man. I don't know.
Especially like an Austin Hayes situation.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, and he's not a known quantity either. I mean, he's played well in his first MLB season, but would you rather have Brandon Nimmo? Yeah. I mean, would you rather have Cedric Mullins? Maybe. Here's one. How about Harrison Bader? Would you rather have Harrison Bader or Jung-Ho Lee? I guess Jung-Ho Lee. But anyway, he's kind of in that category of player. Now he could bust out, so he's got a little bit more upside just because unfortunately he's got injured and he hadn't failed yet, and those other guys, everybody does, every major league player does at some point goes through bad stretches. So
yeah, I don't know if I'm going to
be undervalued.
A whole lot. Yeah, he'll definitely be undervalued. I don't know if I have any interest in drafting him next year, though. So
I don't like the Giants. I don't like anything. Like San Francisco is beautiful. It's on the Pacific Ocean. I totally get that. I don't like any of those players except maybe Lamont Wade if there's like a righty on the mound for somebody else. But like, I don't know. It's like it's tough to hit in that park. The team isn't all, there's no juice on that team. And, the injuries are piling up. Like, yeah, I want to stay away from the San Francisco Giants. It's not their year, and it doesn't look like things are going to change either.
Lamont Wade is great in OBP formats too. He's an OBP stud. So if you can get Lamont Wade on your teams and you play in OBP formats, EA all day, one of them, I'd be looking to see if he's out there. He's an OBP guy.
And in a daily moves. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Tyro Estrada, Jorge Soler. I mean, Soler's hurt. I don't know if you saw that. He got donked in the head in batting practice yesterday.
I did see that. It sucks, man.
It's like rookie of the year,
we all go through that in life. Just sometimes, whatever you're trying to do your best, and you just you hit your own ball in your face, and you're like, what is happening to me? Like that's just how everybody. That's just how it works sometimes. But it's all right. Jorge Soler avoided serious injury. The only thing that got hurt was his pride and a bruise. He'll be okay. He's working back. But that's another guy. Like, I don't want Jorge Soler. Like,
low batting average and his power is gone now because of San Francisco.
If he was a full-time player at the Reds or Yankees, God, if he was a Brewer, I'd be all over that business. But that's not how it worked out.
Yeah, you got hit in the head and he wasn't wearing a helmet. And you know what they say about life, Britton? Life's tough. Get a helmet. So
get a helmet. Look, it's batting practice. If you don't want to wear a helmet, I'm not going to blame anybody for it.
Exactly right. Jeff wants to know our thoughts on Christian Encarnacion's Strand outlook after his sluggish start to the season. He debuted last year, though, Jeff, and came up and played pretty well. It was late in the season last year, but yeah, CES has been struggling. One of my guys, Britton Allen, has not been as advertised. He's we've talked about him enough on this show. I think you and I actually talked about him on one of the Sunday Fab shows. He's chasing a lot and he's also whiffing a lot. So his whiff, chase rate, and his K rate are all super, super high. He needs to be able to take more pitches and recognize pitches. I think he's pressing a little bit. It would not surprise me if they sent him back down to get his confidence back. But he's dealing with that hand injury or wrist injury, I believe. But any thoughts on CES, Britton? Are you maybe in redraft formats?
Mike V, I wrote him off about a month ago. I've watched him. I've watched him hit. It's not pretty. I'd rather have Ty France, if that gives you any indication. Like, he's like a poor man's Ty France. But I will say this: speaking of the Reds, Nolvi Marte is starting baseball activities, and I don't know the exact date of his suspension or whenever that happens, but he's ramping up. He's going to be coming back fairly soon. So keep your eyes open for Nolvi Marte for the Cincinnati Reds, because that dude, before he got busted, and that may have something to do with something, but I don't know. That dude produced last year when he played, like power, speed with a good average, and he was doing it this year until the suspension came. So if Nolvi Marte got dropped in your 10-team, 12-team redraft league, just put him in your watch list, queue, because he is a seriously talented player that can really make a difference in those categories, like a legitimate player. I think Christian Encarnacion Strand is just kind of a drain.
Yep,
kind of a waste of a spot. Where Nolvi Marte, it could be an investment worth keeping.
Yeah, I think both of them are watch list players for me. I agree. I'd rather have Marte over CES rest of season. But Edward Kelly looks like he's telling us the suspension ends on June 19th for Novelli. So
that's like 30 days. Yeah, come on.
That's like a month away. So again, if you don't have the roster space, I would probably be looking to roster him and stash him probably 2 weeks from today, if that makes sense. Maybe that's too late, too soon, but it depends on the rest of your league and how aggressive your team is. I don't know who Babe Reiners is, but he wants to know, do we talk to fans? We do, my friend. We talk to fans of the show. So drop your questions in the live chat if you have them. Edward Kelly says, Ty France, yuck. Yeah, that shows you how bad CES is, though, Edward. If we're talking about Ty,
look
France,
look at the stats. It's Ty France is
numbers
better.
Don't lie.
Yeah, bonjour. That's what that. Merci.
I got the. It took me a while.
There's my friend. There's my France. Ty France.
Right.
So you didn't know that I was bilingual.
I did not. That
sounds dirty, but it's not, because I also speak Le French.
Did you pick that up at the Ho House?
I picked it up at the. Hey, when you go to the Ho House and you want to talk sweet to the ladies, that's when you start breaking out the je m'appelle money, and then they're all like, "Oh, sweet, Britain's here."
Oh God. Johnny Baseball wants to know. This is a good question here, Britton. Thanks for the question here, Johnny Baseball. He wants to know Taj Bradley or Reese Olson rest of season.
Oh, that's a good question. What do you think? Do you have a? I mean, Taj Bradley's got the, all the hype, but Reese Olson has been doing it, and Taj Bradley coming back from injury. He pitches today, I believe, doesn't he, Mike?
I believe so. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, either today or tomorrow. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's today, so keep your eye on him. But Reese Olson's been great, and I've watched Reese Olson pitch, and he's been legitimately good. He's 0-4 because the Tigers just refuse to score on days he's pitching. So but that's going to regress to the mean. Like that's not. He's just been unlucky. I mean, his ERA is under 3. I mean, yeah, I really like Reese Olson. He's been consistently good. Taj Bradley also good. I like them both. I mean, but if I have to pick one, I'd take Reese Olson for the Tigers. What do you think?
I'm going Taj Bradley. I just like the ceiling, and the Rays just know how to churn out pitching prospects. The Rays are going to get healthy here in the pitching department pretty soon. Shane Baz, the Wizard of Boz, another Wizard of Oz reference, the second one of tonight's show.
I love it.
He's going to be coming back here relatively soon. Taj Bradley's already back. They'll get Jeffrey Springs back at some point as well, too. I just don't know when. So the plethora of riches is coming for Tampa Bay, and they need these guys ASAP. But I just like Taj Bradley's K upside a little and team context a little better than Reese Olson's. I like Reese Olson better in that division with just not a lot of pop, although that division has been pretty good outside of Chicago. But this is a close one for me, but give me Taj Bradley. I just like the K's better with him. Yeah, we'll see how he does. Edward Kelly said he is pitching against the Red Sox right now. I believe they're down 1-0. He gave up a run in the first inning. So, all right. Thanks for the question there, Johnny Baseball.
Both talented, good, fun players to watch. I like them both.
Yep. Same. It's a good problem to have if you're deciding between those two. Jamie says 20 deep. I think he's talking about 20-man league. He had Jose Budo from the Mets, who had an average ERA of 3.08, who's another pitcher similar.
I love the Budo. Budo looked. Yeah, Budo looked good. I would take a look at Mitchell Parker for I believe at Washington Nationals. He had 2 really good starts. Then he gave up like 2 or 3 earned runs on his last start.
Started him yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's a if you're in that Jose Budo range, he's somebody. Also, Jose Suriano for the Angels. That he is like boom or bust, as they say. If you're watching a NFL, fantasy, football, they're like everything's like boom or bust. But I think Jose Suriano for the Angels is a could boom. He's looking good. I would also take a look, see if someone dropped Garrett Crochet, because he had like 3 or 4 awful starts, like 6 earned run starts. But now he's put 2 back-to-back 6-inning pitched. So that's 12 innings. His last 2 starts, including today, 12 innings, 17 Ks with 1 earned run. So if somebody dropped Garrett Crochet, because it's a 10-team, 12-team league, go see if he's on your waiver wire, because he has turned it back around. And the White Sox aren't good. That's a really nice way to put it. But they're starting to win a little bit. So yep. Garrett Crochet got the win today for the White Sox. So go see if he's on that waiver wire.
Yeah, agreed. B. Henny says, fresh off work, let me show you boys some love. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much. Chad says, last question for me. Am I an idiot for fabbing Martin Perez last night, or a genius for sleeping through setting my lineup today? Both. So
hey, don't worry about it. It does. It's over. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to always stick with the positive, like Mike V does. Genius.
There you go. B. Henny says, have y'all spoken on Christian Scott yet? We have not, but we're willing to give you our thoughts now if you'd like, B. Henny. I love Christian Scott. I'm surprised that in some of my leagues, he wasn't targeted very heavily. I got him in my home league, and I was out of moves for the week. We play in a transaction limit week, like most Yahoo leagues. And I believe I used my last move on a Thursday, and he made it all the way to Monday, and I was able to scoop him up, which I was super happy about. Christian Scott is a stud, and he's got the K upside. I do think he'll struggle with command early going, but I think the Mets are going to try to get him out there and get him some seasoning in the majors. Britton, how do you feel about Christian Scott? I know in TGFBI and other NFBC leagues, he went for a king's ransom, and people dropping huge amounts of fab on him.
Yeah, I love Christian Scott, and they're not going to baby him. Like the comments made from the organization and the coaches are like, they're going to let him go. So it's not like his pitch count is at 80 or whatever. Like they're going to let Christian Scott play. And I watched his debut. I haven't seen his last start, but I watched his debut, and it was so impressive because he got into trouble. He got banged around. You could tell he was nervous pressing. Mm-hmm. And bases loaded, he got out of it. And when he walked off the mound, he's looking straight ahead at his teammates, like pounding, the glove, not showing anybody up, but just fired up. And then he came out and threw like 4 scoreless. And in his first start racked up, and I bet on this too. It was like 6 or 7 strikeouts. This is from a rookie. I mean, that kind of talent in your first start is impressive. So, not to go overboard, because I think Christian Scott is secretly one of, nobody really talked. I mean, people talked about him because it's the Mets. Everybody talks
Yeah.
about any player for the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers, but I mean, he's kind of under the radar. Like this guy might finish like a top 25 starting pitcher at the end of the year. That's how much I like Christian Scott.
Yeah, I do too. And Britton, I'll bring up his game log here to show you. He had more strikeouts. So his last start, he took his first loss against the Braves. He had 8 strikeouts, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, walked 2,
That's
in
okay.
six
That's
innings.
good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he's got the K potential. He had 6. He went 6 and 2/3 in his first start against Tampa Bay. Had 6 Ks and only gave up a run. So. He's a guy that, again, I love rest of season. The Mets are going to let him go a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be pitching like 200 innings or anything else like that, but he's going to be the ace of their staff for years to come. Maybe not this year, but moving forward. So let's burn through some of these questions here, Britton. I only got about 10 minutes left. Jamie wants to know, are we holding or folding Matt McClain?
Well, if you've held him this long, I guess you keep holding, but Matt McClain for the Reds, he's such a talented player. So if you're in a keeper, you hold him, obviously, and kind of redraft, you drop him, right?
Yeah, has to be. I don't see him coming back until much later in the season. And when I say later, I'm talking like I would not be surprised if we saw him in August or September. But also noting too that if the Reds aren't playing for anything, they're not going to be rushing this guy back only for a month into the season. So I don't know if he's somebody I'm holding on to in redraft formats and Dynasty 100%. But I'm probably dropping him.
Yeah, it's
in redraft
unfortunate,
formats.
but that's just, he's injured. You got to move on.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Chad says Olsen, for me, he's utterly dominant, and Bradley has shown to be super inconsistent. Yeah, but it's only he's got the K potential for me, Chad, for Bradley, and it was his first year in the bigs. And it's worth noting too, in spring training and in his rehab outings, he looked dominant with
He looked great.
all of his pitches. So I just like the K upside with Bradley. I'm not saying I dislike Olsen at all. I love both of them. It's a good problem to have. But it's Taj Bradley slightly for me, and I think it's slightly Olsen for Britton too. I think it's just a matter of personal preference. So EA all day. If he struggles again versus the Reds, drop Bueller or to stash Caminero in a keeper. No, I'm not dropping Walker Bueller. I would look to trade him before straight dropping him. But Caminero, oh, this is in a keeper format. Looks like to drop Bueller to stash Caminero. Yeah, I'm still not dropping Bueller, but Caminero in a keeper league, I'm shocked is out there. So go get Junior Caminero, but try to find somebody else to drop on your team.
I'm okay with dropping Bueller. I mean, 2
Okay.
Tommy John surgeries. I in a keeper league. Yeah, I mean, Junior Caminero is projects to be a top bat. So
You
yeah,
straight
I have no
dropping him though?
for Caminero. Yeah,
Yeah. Would you look to
yeah,
trade him
absolutely.
first?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Try to sell him low if you can.
Yeah.
But
See what you
if
get
you
for.
if you get rejected everywhere and you're at your wits end and it's a keeper league, yeah, hit that button and get Caminero.
Yeah, I don't mind that actually. Now that I think about it, I would look. When people ask me drop questions, especially for guys that are big names, and I get when it's easy to rage drop. I think is the lingo that the kids use these days.
Mm.
You get pissed off and you just drop somebody. I'm all about trying to trade them first, even if you have to buy low, get something or sell low. Get something in return for him. If you're playing in any type of deeper formats, Walker Buehler's going to get snatched up pretty quick if you just drop him. So I don't know if he'll stick around on your waiver wire for that long. Bizza Rizza Jizza said Judge just hit another 470 feet home run. Yeah, I did not see that, but I saw that he hit one. Sell, get rid of Aaron Judge.
Spoken like a true
faves.
spoken like a true Baltimore Orioles fan right there, ladies and gentlemen. Just
Exactly.
with a grain of salt, Mike V. Just with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. Jamie says Crochet is taken and a Soso Williams from Washington. Who was the third guy that you mentioned?
Jose Siriano. If you look at He plays for the Angels, but there's a good chance he's out there. I would take a look at Jose Soriano. I've got him in a couple leagues. He's got big K potential. I've watched him play. So I wouldn't like go crazy, but if you're in that, in that Williams Crochet, I like Jose Soriano. I don't know if you've ever taken a look at him because and then
Didn't he burn you a couple weeks back?
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, but you know me, like I'm not going to
Can't quit him.
I'm not going to let a little permanent burn injury stop me from doing anything.
All wounds heal, baby.
That's right. Time heals all wounds. But yeah, I'm trying to think of a starting pitcher in that, that Mitchell Parker, Jose Soriano, kind of. I mean, you don't
What about
want
like
to start any of these guys, but
no? What about
sometimes
like
you
a
got.
Chris Paddock?
Oh yeah, Paddock above all those guys. Yeah, he's
I think
awesome.
he got some K upside. He got lit up yesterday against the Yankees, but he's got a
That's
couple 10
okay.
strikeout games under his belt, so he might be floating around out there. Like Britton said, I actually like Garrett Crochet. I think he's gotten a lot of he got a lot of love in the beginning of the season, and since then has gotten a lot of hate. I still think he's valuable in 12 teamers and deeper. Even in 10 teamers, I can make a case for that one too. But the Williams, the Jose Soriano, Chris Paddock, like those guys are all probably in the teens in terms of roster percentages. So they're probably floating around out there.
Yeah, I like Chris Paddock a lot, and he may be out there since he got lit up last time, but he's been good. Every pitcher gets lit up. It
Yep.
just happens. In
Everybody.
2025 start, it's just going to happen.
Yep.
So, but he's got successful starts too. So I like Chris Paddock above all those guys.
Exactly. B. Henny says, I have a waiver wire in for Junior dropping Cabrian Hayes for him. Like that move. I've never been a
100%.
Cabrian Hayes guy. Actually, I think I talked about him a couple weeks back, maybe even a month ago. Can't remember. I've never been a Cabrian Hayes guy. He's on the IL. They've waited too long for him anyways. We've seen enough from him. I just don't think he's out. I think he's going to be a good player. He's probably a better real life player than he is fantasy when he's actually healthy. But
he's good defensively too. He's good.
Yeah.
And so playing third base, obviously that's important. So yeah, but Junior Caminero, has got some big upside this year.
Yeah, he says. Jeff says, "Do you see Trevor Williams with similar upside to Crochet? Crochet is a better pitcher than Trevor Williams. Trevor Williams has been leaning a lot on his off-speed stuff. Believe it was the sweeper and something else. I can't remember what it is. Changeup, and he doesn't have the fastball. Crochet is one of their top draft picks too. So Crochet's got a lot better upside than Trevor Williams for me. I would venture.
Yeah, Trevor Williams, man, like." Got that Justin Vargas vibe to him, just going on crazy, 10 starts with a 2 ERA and like 5 strikeouts in 10 starts. And no one knows how this is happening,
Yep.
It's like he made a deal with the devil or something. So we'll see how long that lasts. But I'd ride it if he's ride him if the matchups are good.
Yeah. EA all day says Trevor Williams is on a Linsanity run. I don't view him as a viable starting pitcher. You may be right rest of season, but for right now, we use saying, or at least I do. I think Britton's used it a couple times in the show. You ride that wave, baby. You ride it all the way until the wave crashes. You take a guy like Trevor Williams, and the best part about it is when he starts to that carriage turns into a pumpkin, you swap him out for the next flavor of the week. So. Trevor Williams is somebody I think is viable right now until he shows us otherwise. We've got a lot of good data on him, and he's pitched well against some good teams. So, Jeff says, haha, okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something on Williams. You're not. Garrett Crochet is the better prospect. Uncle Ted, my boy, he did call this in my Sunday show, or I think it was last week or the week before. I'm going to give him props. Alec Marsh pitched well today against the Mariners. He says Alec Marsh is now the Royals' ace, not Cole Reagans. Yeah, he mentioned this a couple of weeks back. He said this. I still think Cole Reagans is the ace there, but Alec Marsh is definitely their number 2. It looks like.
I respectfully disagree with both you gentlemen. Seth Lugo is the ace of the Kansas City Royals. You look at his past 5 starts, his K numbers are crazy good, like shockingly good. And it's not completely out of nowhere because like Eno Saris and, people like that have talked about Seth Lugo before the season started, about changes that he's made. but Seth Lugo is the pitcher on the Kansas City Royals that you want.
Let me ask you this question, Britton. Okay, because and again, he had 12 Ks in his last start. Did come against the Angels, Mr. Seth Lugo, but he had 5 Ks in the previous start, then 8 Ks, then 9 Ks. So he's racking up some Ks. He's not a fastball kind of guy either. Like, he doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He just knows how to utilize and locate very well.
He's doing that spin, baby.
Yep.
Spin, sugar. 6 underground is what he whatever he's doing is working, and you kind of like the win potential for the Kansas City Royals this year.
I do. Let me ask you this question. Let's rank their rotation of these guys. All right. I want you. Obviously, Cole Reagans is. I think we can agree is their ace, correct? Well,
no,
you just said Seth Lugo.
Seth Lugo. Yeah.
Right.
Cole
Okay.
Reagans. Yeah.
All right. So I'll scrap this question altogether. I want you to rank these guys between Cole Reagans, Brady Singer, Seth Lugo, and Alec Marsh. How are you ranking these guys?
I like all those. I like all those guys. If I'm the manager and I'm playing the Braves or whatever, and it's a 5-game series, I'm starting Seth Lugo first, Cole Reagans second, Marsh third, Brady Singer, and I'm sorry, who was the fifth?
I just had 4. I didn't give you a 5. It's Michael Wacha, but I think we can agree.
Michael Wacha's fifth.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. That's why I didn't throw him in there, because I know he wouldn't get jump in front of those other 4. But
he was kind of good last year, right? With the
he was decent.
Yeah, I'm probably being a little too flippant about that, but yeah, if I have 3 games I have to win, Lugo, Reagans, Marsh.
Okay, I would go Reagans, Lugo, Singer, Marsh. Those would be my guys rest of season. I just like Reagans' K upside. I know a lot of people were down on him, thinking maybe he can't repeat what he did last year. So I get it, but the Royals are a sneaky good team, man. We talked about them enough on this show too. The Royals are looking like to be a playoff team if they can get the bats rolling. Their pitching is great, and James MacArthur has been really good. They have McMillan too, who's going to be one of their bullpen guys at some point later in the year, maybe. Yeah, I like the Royals, man. That division's winnable. The Guardians have a lot of injury concerns in their rotation as well, with no more Shane Bieber. So, and Gavin Williams is obviously hurt too. So,
yeah,
Britain,
Sally Perez, hitting home runs. Vinny P.
I think he's leading the league I think he's leading the league in doubles, by the way, Sal Perez.
Yeah, his power stroke is back. So, barring injury, he's good.
Right. All right. Well, we are at a little after 8 o'clock. This show was supposed to take an hour. I know we started a little bit late, but before we head off, Britton, anything? I'll give you your final words here from the GOAT himself, Britton Allen. Anything that you want to let everybody know about?
No, thank you for having me on. I'm sorry this is the craziest month. Because my daughters have their school stuff, and it's May, and work stuff like that. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk baseball with you, and hopefully you, me, and Mike Govier, and anybody else at the Pallazzo that wants to talk baseball can do it. Are you doing a Sunday show this weekend?
I am not. For those of you guys who don't know, I do Sunday Fab Show every week, and I'm actually going to be in Chicago for visiting some family. So I will be out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. My flight leaves bright-eyed and bushy tail. I'll be on Friday morning to get on my plane to go to Chicago, and then I come back late Sunday. So I will not be available this week. It's part of the reason why I wanted to do today. And to Britton's point, we usually do a show on Friday between myself, Britton, and Govier. For all 3 of us, it's just been a crazy week, month really. So we'll get back on track here soon, I promise you guys. But in the meantime, make sure you guys check us out on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it. I am at _Mike VA. Britton is at Britton Allen, 2 T's, 2 L's. Appreciate you guys joining. Make sure you guys are following us on all the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and get into the Discord, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of the week. If you got questions, hit us up on Twitter, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks, Britton.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, for listening.